Hello everyone, good evening. I must admit that's quite tough to follow after Jack and Richard's momentous speech. But yes, good evening everybody. It's, you know, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Terrain, and for those of you who do, such as Richard, I apologise for what I say over the next 5 minutes. But yes, I'm absolutely honoured and delighted to be here on this day acting as best man on Richard and Kieran's wedding. And I've pretty much spent the last 14 months thinking of what to say on this momentous occasion. But I have to say before I begin that I'd like to add that I've known Richard for many years now, and he's played a large part, if not the biggest part, in developing my sense of humour, and I've really tried to make this speech as funny as possible, so if you don't find it funny, please feel free to laugh at Richard, and in the reception after as well. But, I'd like to just reiterate a few things that everybody else has said. You know, the thank yous. Firstly, thank you all for being here tonight on this occasion to celebrate with Richard and Kieran. A huge thank you, Richard, for asking me to take this role. It means a lot to me. You're a very good friend, and also thank you. You know, just saying again, Rupinder and Kathy, you looked great. You know, I'm sure everybody agrees you looked radiant. And but you know, I have to say you're only eclipsed by one woman, and that has to be Kieran, who looked you know, I'm sure you all agree, looked absolutely stunning. You know. Richard, on the other hand, just looked a bit stunned, but that's another matter altogether. Anyway, so I suppose in time-honoured tradition, it is my duty to, you know, provide the most uncomfortable 5 minutes of your life as acting as best man. But I'd just like to say a little bit about Richard. I've known him for about 8 years now. I met him when I started university in Southampton 8 years ago. And unfortunately, he's remained one of my closest friends ever since. And nah, I'm kidding. But he is my best friend from university. I mean, when we were there, he was my best friend there. And I would say there's nothing I wouldn't do for him. And likewise, there's nothing he wouldn't do for me. You could say we kind of spend most of our times doing nothing for each other. You know, that's how it goes. Moving on, my first impression of Richard, what I remember. Just a few things, is that he was an avid supporter of Wimbledon Football Club, and he really liked Grand Prix a lot, but I have to say his greatest asset and his greatest skill is the ability to make people smile and laugh through his ability to pun and play on words. And he also had this unhealthy penchant for knowing the lyrics to pretty much every terrible 90s dance track. I mean, you know, if you request anything from 2 Unlimited to anything from the Michael Jackson Bad album, you know, back to back, you know, I'm talking classic. You know, we can search for that, and I'm sure it'll be on the internet somewhere. And yeah, but the thing with Richard is he has a knack for he's a very good friend. Like you said, yes, I'm aligned to it, this and that, but he's a very good friend. He's always there when everything happens, you know. Nothing embarrassing really happens to Richard. It's usually his friends surrounding him. On his stag do, I have to admit, I was sick, you know, and I'm sorry to drop you in it, but Rav was as well. But, you know, in style. And, you know. So moving on, I rack my brain even more. What can I say? What can I do to embarrass him? Is there any juicy gossip about ladies of the past or anything? You know, but once again, I have to say no. He never really. He's a good guy, and he never really used to say things like that. And I suppose it reflects that he hadn't met the right person at the time, which moves on to obviously talking about Kieran. I mean, Richard's just told everybody about how he met Kieran. I'll tell it from my side. When Richard and I finished our degrees, we took a gap year. I worked in the UK. He obviously went to teach English in Sri Lanka. And, you know, we keep in contact a lot. He'd email started to say things like, oh yeah, I've met this girl. Yeah, okay, this is quite something, because he doesn't talk about things like this. And then, you know, add another thing like, she's nice. I'm going to meet her at the weekend. Okay, she's still nice, good. And then with that, you know, I, to be honest, just got no emails after. But as you all know, the rest is history, and you know, it means the world to me to see Richard happy like this. And I think we all know the reason why, and the reason is Kieran. I mean, Kieran, you are an absolute inspiration. You're a truly wonderful woman, and I know for a fact Richard knows what a good thing he's got by being with you, without a doubt. And you both complement each other perfectly. I can't think of anybody else, you know, he could fit as well as you two. And, you know, I mean, I'd have to say in life it's difficult to imagine, you know, Romeo without Juliet. You know, sorry, tacky. It gets better. And, you know, Victoria without David. And even, you know, Del Boy without Rodney, really. So, yes, you know, it's all good, and you've done well. And obviously, I suppose I come to the end of what I have to say, but I'd like to say this. Just as like a parting comment, may your love... Oh, okay, I'm going to have to look at this, sorry. I couldn't remember everything. But yes, this is words of wisdom I found from Google, actually. But, I'd like to conclude by saying, may your love be modern enough to survive the times and old-fashioned enough to last forever. Thank you for listening anyway.